Hello and welcome back to the Squirrel Heed YouTube channel. Been away for a few days, so catching up on a lot of the news that's been going on. So I'm kicking off today. This is transfer talk, rounding up all of the news that's going on in the Premier League primarily. Might touch on a couple that have happened abroad, but not so much in this case just as of yet. And as you can see, straight away, possibly one of the greatest in modern memory, one of the greatest free transfers that you can ever think of any club signing. If there are better ones, do let us know. Obviously, this is hinging on what he might be like at Man United. And I did say at the start of the transfer window, when he was linked, I didn't really care who he signed for or whoever he signed for. I wanted to see him in the Premier League, and it's happening. It's not great that it's with one of Liverpool's biggest rivals, if not their biggest rivals, but they've got the deal over the line. Apparently, he's breaking records in medicals, like power records or something like that. I think he's still got a good lot. He's got a lot to offer because of the type of player that he is. He doesn't really necessarily rely on pace. He seems to rely on very clever play, both with his feet, holding up the ball, stupidly good presence in the box, all around that, just above the midfield area, sometimes in the midfield area as well, just to help out a little bit as well and make sure that he can get some service himself. But very, 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 very good business. And the same going forward with Mkhitaryan, or however you say his name. Can someone spell out how you say it? Because I really don't know. They've got him coming in, obviously, as well. Dortmund have actually announced the signing before Man United have, so it's still not like official, but it's like it's as official as it can be without it actually being like Sky Sports official, if you know what I mean. So they've got him coming in as well. Now the rumour as well, obviously, that seems to be signalling the end of Juan Mata's career at Man United, is the fact that apparently Ibrahimovic is going to be wearing the number 8. Now that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of his United career. He could just switch number. We've seen, I think Antonio Valencia switched from a number 7, which obviously holds a lot of weight beneath that number for Man United. Maybe he could just be switching number, who knows. But it does lead me on to the next bit of news that I've got, which is that apparently Juan Mata is being chased by Everton, who could be unbelievable. He could be a really good signing for Everton if they can pull it off. Apparently it's a £21 million deal for the former Chelsea man. And this is, again, it's linked directly to the fact that Ibrahimovic looks like he's getting the number 8. This would be a really big signal of intent by Ronald Koeman, because he's wanting to rework that squad a little bit. Maybe, having someone like that partnering, maybe like a Ross Barkley or something like that, can give Ross Barkley that extra spark that he was lacking at times last season. Wasn't able to kick on and be the youthful midfielder that we thought he was going to be. It just didn't click into gear for him under Roberto Martinez. Maybe it can now. Bringing in a bit of extra creativity in that midfield will do Everton a world of good. Who are they going to keep hold of as well as their striker? Are they going to keep hold of Lukaku? Or, who knows? If Everton can keep hold of Lukaku or bring in someone of that style, then having someone like him sitting right behind them, maybe solidifying that defence as well, it'll do Everton the world of good. It would, probably be disappointing. Well, it's probably expected by Juan Mata, having been sold by Mourinho already in the past, that he might be getting sold again. Again, it's just another rumour, and this is coming. It's a transfer I could see happening. Absolutely, I could see it happening, because I think Everton do need that little bit of creativity. Someone who can really, find spaces that other midfielders can't, or, and just feeding the forwards a lot better than they have been in recent years. Now, even saying that, Lukaku scored buckets of goals last season. I think he scored about 19 plus, something like that. So definitely, but then again, someone like this, he can chip in himself. He's got good free kicks on him as well. Could be a good signing for Everton, and could maybe be one of the last transfers for Juan Mata at a top club. So he's 28 years old. He's not necessarily going to get the clubs he can go to are not going to get any bigger now. Like, obviously he's been to Chelsea, did quite well there. 2 years in a row, he got Player of the Season at Chelsea, moves to Man United. does okay. I don't think he did anything that was stand out, but then that might have been an effect of the team that they had and the manager that they had at the time. At the times of him being there, I think he was under both, brought in by David Moyes and under Van Gaal as well. Doesn't look like he's going to get a shot under Mourinho. Everton would be a good option for him to go to because he wouldn't be going to any of the other clubs like a Man City, who look like they're doing monstrous deals, but I'll get onto that a little bit later on. Could be a very good move for him as well as a good move for Everton. While we're on Chelsea as well, Michy Batshuayi completes Chelsea transfer. Now, apparently they've forked out £33 million for the Belgian international, who scored, I think, 23 goals, 10 assists last year. He's hit a bit of headline news, obviously, since he came on off the bench against Hungary, and with his first touch, I believe it was, he scored a goal. Again, aside from that, I don't know a great deal about the player, only from stuff that I've read. There was a good analysis given that he's much more mobile than Lukaku. Apparently he's much more creative than Benteke, whatever that means. But there's also rumours that like he can be a little bit selfish, and instead of spotting a pass, he'll just try and shoot on his own. Which, what striker doesn't do that? We know that very well, having had Daniel Sturridge in our squad, who, you know, more often than not will generally pull it off. So, and he's 22 years old now. Obviously, it's a lot of money for someone who's 22 years old, not proven in the Premier League. It could go either way. But what Conte is clearly trying to do is looking at the strike force he's currently got. He's got obviously Diego Costa, who, while can be a good striker on his day, and I'm trying to be objective about it, can be a bit of an animal, can be a bit of a live wire. Some comes in and out of games, or it almost seems like he chooses when he wants to play well. Sometimes it looks like he wants to pick a fight rather than actually play football. This obviously looks like a good acquisition. Right now he's got a good number of goals with Marseille, good number of assists as well, which will only look good as he'll probably hopefully provide and obviously score goals as well. And it's also obviously Chelsea looking to the future. So could be a good signing. We won't obviously know until the Premier League starts, but they're getting their business done, as a lot of the big clubs are right now, are getting their business done early on in the transfer window. So for me, as I've said in my own transfer videos for Liverpool, obviously with Sadio Mane, you've got to take the money out of it, because money for young players these days, and I've got to actually touch on something that Ryan Giggs had said on commentary in the Euro 2016. I think he was on ITV or something like that. I can't remember which one it was, where he was saying that players these days, young players and stuff like that, they don't have to achieve anything before they're rewarded. Like, if someone's got a glimmer of potential, they tend to throw a lot of money at them to either keep them at a club or sell them for a vast amount of money to another club. And then you see between 20, 23-year-olds and stuff like that driving around in like really flash cars and, you know, big ass watches and stuff like that, and doing stuff that you would never have even, like, if you look back in the day of the players like a Ryan Giggs, who probably had to toil his arse off. Same with like the likes of Carragher, the likes of a Gerrard and stuff like that. They don't get the fruits of their labour until a bit later on in their career. Now everything is so money driven in football that you've got strikers so £33 million. That's a hell of a lot of money for a 22-year-old. If you put in perspective, when, say, we bought Philippe Coutinho, and I think we got him when he was 20, 21, and I think we spent £8 million. Daniel Sturridge, I think we got for 12. We look at the cost and effect of that. Well, obviously we got someone who was a hidden gem at Inter Milan from Coutinho. We got Daniel Sturridge, who was being played as a winger at Chelsea, and when he gets played as a striker, he's a lot more effective. We've seen that with the England team as well, although that was a complete shower of shite on its own. As I say, I've kind of gone off on a few tangents there, but one day, and I've said this a few times in, like, you know, with friends and stuff, when you're discussing stuff like football and things like that, one day there's going to come a time when the money in football is completely unmanageable. Like, eventually, if you look at like what you were paying for a prospective, like a 22-year-old maybe even 5 years ago to what you're paying now, what you're going to be paying in the next 5 years. Is it going to be stuff like 60 million, or even like the Raheem Sterling, I think 21 years old, and it was 49 million or 50. I can't remember exactly if it was 49 or 50, who hadn't achieved a great deal, as Liverpool hadn't as a team of late in the last couple of years. But he himself, he obviously looked like he's got a great deal of potential. He's not really fulfilling it as of yet, but then obviously they've got an incoming manager, things can change. But you're paying for 21-year-old a £50 million. You're saying that this is going to be the next best thing. It's kind of like what they're doing with this, £33 million. This is going to be the next best striker coming into the Premier League, or one of them. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Is he going to be that? Maybe. He could be like, say, some of the top strikers that Chelsea have had. He could be like a Didier Drogba. It entirely depends, because the mentality of football these days seems to have changed so much that it's less about like, I want to go out and win trophies, I want to go and do this. Two things that football players seem to be more concerned with than anything. Are you playing in the Champions League, and how much are you paying me? That just seems to be what it is these days. Tangent over for now. We're going to move on to some Man City news at the moment, and it's Man City news that I don't want to hear. I really don't want to be hearing this. When I read the line that says, Pep Guardiola wants to sign Luis Suarez and Toni Kroos, and I've read elsewhere that there's quotes from Luis Suarez saying he would be open to a move back to the BPL, but with Man City, that's annoying and scary. Obviously, you've got to look at the absolute calibre that Suarez is, and I'm not just saying this as a Liverpool fan and what he did for us, because we cannot ever turn around and say at one point we weren't a one-man team, because when we had Suarez, I mean, you can argue, he added like 31 goals to our team. You took that out and you see what happens the years after, since he's left. You know, you can say about obviously Gerrard being in there, and Gerrard was on absolute form during that wonderful season, 2013-14 season. Yes, I recognise he had a slip. That's fine, no problem. We can all take it. It's been there and it's happened. Let's move on. You can't say that Suarez didn't drag us over the line a fair few times. Yes, he's done some very negative things in football, like the bites and things like that he's done numerous times. And I still think he did that bite to Chiellini to get the move to Barcelona. I still think if he hadn't have bitten, maybe we would have had more of a chance of keeping him. But never mind. Let's move past it. Having seen, now this is obviously just quotes and rumours and stuff like that. Having seen in the past that Luis Suarez has said, and he has said himself in interviews, having seen his face and mouth say it, that he would only ever come back to the Premier League and play for one club, and that would be Liverpool. While I don't see him coming back to us ever, I would like to believe that he truly means that. Because the last thing I would want is for him to come back under Pep Guardiola, under the absolute revolution that Guardiola seems to be doing right now. I obviously really don't want to see it happen when he's being linked with someone like Toni Kroos, and he's already got someone like Gundogan, and the type of pull, the sheer, that's all I can say, the sheer pull that Guardiola has attached to his name because of who he is and what he's done. It's one of those that I could actually, if it got any traction, I could see it happening. Can you imagine what it would be like to turn up? Right, so, okay guys, we're going to the Etihad today. All right, who are we coming up against? You get your team, and the team gets the team news, and they all sit there and collectively shit a brick while they look at the top two, and it would be Sergio Aguero and Luis Suarez. The fact that Luis Suarez beat Sergio Aguero to the top scorer of the Premier League in his final season with us says a lot. And I think maybe Aguero was second, or I can't remember if it was an injury season that Aguero had, but can you imagine? It'd be devastating for the Premier League. It'd obviously be devastating for Liverpool fans to see him line up in a sky blue shirt. I'm hoping it is literally just a rumour. I wouldn't even care if they went and signed Toni Kroos. I really wouldn't. Just don't take Louis, please. I'm begging you, Guardiola. If you have any sense of heart or decency, you too, Louis, please, just leave him alone. Let him be at Barcelona, where he can be like kind of the main man who is dragging them through tournaments and stuff like that. Obviously not the Champions League this year, but please just leave him there, please. I don't think I could take it if I saw him lining up against Liverpool. Obviously, other news that we can see on this page right here is that apparently Chelsea are in for Koulibaly for 30 million from Napoli. Liverpool and Everton apparently going to be going to head for Axel Witsel from Zenit, who kind of looks like a more skillful version of Fellaini. Not entirely sure that's the type of player we would go for, but who knows in this day and age. And this is obviously one of those which has the most misleading title of all time, where it says this is about Marco Piacca. And it obviously, when you first click on the link from like Google, it says fantastic, 20 million euro attacker wanted by Liverpool, set for Monday medical. That's all it says. When you click on the article and it says transfer agreed with Inter, outstanding, fantastic. Thank you for that. It was a waste of a click, but obviously I'd said about it in one of my previous transfer talks. Looks like we're losing out on that one. Okay, that's fine. I don't really know what else to say about it, so, but thanks for that. Journalism 101, suck them in and then spit on them. Now, and to end on a little bit of Liverpool news, not necessarily transfer-wise, because our big one so far has been Sadio Mane, and obviously the link-up of our signings that we've already had, such as Joel Matip, Marco Grujic, and Loris Karius. What TalkSport have done, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of TalkSport, most of these they've done is they've tried to do how we are going to look to line up next season, but they're also putting in transfer targets that we haven't necessarily got yet. So obviously they're kicking off with Loris Karius as the goalkeeper, which I would definitely give him a shot at taking that number one spot from Simon Mignolet, unless Mignolet's had something of a rebirth since the end of the season and to the start of obviously pre-season and the Premier League season. Definitely give this guy a shout, because obviously he had such a good season in the Bundesliga. We've got to try something new, definitely. Obviously, Bogdan hasn't worked out. Danny Ward hasn't had much of a shot, but he hasn't been with us that much. He hasn't been back with us since he was on loan. And he had I think 2 good games, I think. So obviously he would be a good backup right now. Bogdan's looking on his way out, which if he doesn't think he's going to get any playing time and he doesn't want to stay with us, if you don't want to stay, I'm not going to, scratch and crawl to keep you. Nathaniel Klein will keep his place at right back, which I think is a good shout. He's got great potential. He's got great ability going forward. I would still say he's a little bit, I'd say not weak in defence. He is quite good in defence. I just think he's actually better going forward than he is in defence. Not like, not as like lapse in concentration as Moreno on left back, but I like that. I think he's been one of our most consistent performers last season. Now apparently this is obviously one of the ones that we've been linked with, Subotic from Dortmund, not only because of Klopp, but also because the player himself has said he wants to leave. He wants to go and look for first team football somewhere else. He's only 27, still got a lot more to offer. Yeah, I would definitely look at it. Obviously, we've still got to wait and see what happens with the whole Sacco deal, what's going on there. Like, apparently we're due to find out what's happening. Like, I said, I think maybe a couple of weeks ago that, like, Sacco had been cleared and it looks like he's going to be all right. But then since then, that was just the 30-day ban hadn't been extended, and it could actually now, he could still get that 6 months to 2 years punishment. So we would obviously be needing to look into another defender. And obviously, having worked with Klopp in previous, when he was at Dortmund, it looks like it makes a lot of sense to me. Next to him, Joel Matip. Obviously, I think we've got to accept that whatever's happening with Skrtel at the moment, I don't think Skrtel's going to be looking like one of the main centre-backs, especially when you apparently, or your mate apparently calls Klopp a dickhead. Your mate calls him a dickhead online because apparently you're too busy to run your social media just to post a picture of someone. Um, which, if you're too busy to run your social media, don't have one. Don't have one. If your mate genuinely put up that Klopp's a dickhead, knowing who you are, who you play for, and the eyeballs are going to be on you from everywhere, it doesn't seem like the most sensible thing. I think it's bullshit. I think Skirtle was just wanting to put something out there as a bit of a laugh. A bit of a laugh with his lads and his mates and that, and just say, oh, look, Klopp's a dickhead. I hope he sees it. And then come out with a letter of apology saying, one of my friends got hold of my phone and, I put him in charge of my social media and then he's done this. Not really a good friend then, really, would he be? In charge of your social media. Don't be a dickhead yourself. Matip, 24-year-old, on a free transfer. Very obviously very happy about this being sorted out about 6 months ago as well. He looks like he's looked into the club quite a bit. Looked at the performances that we had against the likes of Dortmund. Very looks excited to play in front of Liverpool fans, and I think anybody would when you see the support that they've had since Klopp took over, and he's re-engaged the fan base with the team better than anybody else. Moreno, blah. Okay, as of right now, yes, I can see, because we haven't signed another left back. I would still be looking at Joe Gomez at fulfilling that role, and I think Klopp will do that. I don't think Moreno will be first choice, as it says here. I think if Gomez can do a really good pre-season, take full advantage of the opportunities that he's given, this scene could change very drastically, and I think it needs to. He needs competition so that he doesn't get too complacent. Yes, he was criticised last season, but fairly so. It wasn't like we were criticising him and he was putting 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 matches together. He was responsible for a lot of our losses. That's just how it is. Emre Can, yeah, definitely he's got to be one of the starters in our midfield. We have to be starting to look at what he can do. He's the perfect link between. He's the perfect box-to-box midfielder for us for a start. He's very good in front of the back four, but he's very good at going forward and linking the play. Does take some shots I wouldn't advise though. Where you've got someone that's he'll take some shots from 30, 40 yards and nowhere near. However, you've got to appreciate you've got to try these things sometimes, just not every time. But I love seeing him in our midfield much more than I like seeing him in Germany's back four, which he obviously hasn't been in this tournament, in the Euros as of yet, I don't believe. But love to see him in there. Axel Witsel, don't know a lot about him. Apparently, according to Talk Sport, it's another central midfielder. Appears to be one position manager Jurgen Klopp is keen to fill. Currently, we have Jordan Henderson and James Milner, but obviously we've been linked with so many others. We've also obviously got Joe Allen, who's had a blinding tournament with Wales so far. Credit to them as well. And he's having not a lot said about him, really. It's always obviously been about Aaron Ramsey and how well they've played, and Gareth Bale, how well they've played. But you can't take away from the performance of Joe Allen, who's got man of the match performances with Wales so far. Zielinski and Dahoud are also reported targets, which we've known about for a while, which don't seem to be getting any sort of traction at all. So, again, haven't talked about Witsel whatsoever, but apart from what I've seen him do with Belgium, which haven't seen him do a great lot. Obviously, you've seen Nainggolan, Hazard, De Bruyne, all those guys doing really good things. Not one that sticks out in my mind. I'm fairly happy with where we are. If we do bring in someone like Zielinski or Dahoud, then yeah, great. Probably more Zielinski because we've seen a bit more of him. But yeah, not one that I know a great deal about, so can't really say a great deal. Coutinho, obviously, apparently he was out. Coutinho, our player of the season last season. And it is good news to see that obviously Coutinho and Firmino won't be playing for Brazil in the Olympics. What does that mean for Brazil themselves? Maybe they don't value what these guys bring, but it's good for us. It hopefully means that if Coutinho's staying with us at the club, they both get a full pre-season. That's the main thing that I think I've said, is that everybody gets a full pre-season with Jurgen Klopp, and that he looks like he's going to take these pre-season friendlies and stuff like that seriously. He's going to train the team as best as he can, as if it was a Premier League or a cup game, which is great. Obviously, want to see Coutinho in there. Sadio Mane, good option to have, can operate behind the striker and out wide, which is obviously what I was talking about the other day. His ratio of goals and assists is very good, and something that we needed added to this club, and something that we did pretty swiftly as well. So I'm very happy about that, to have him at the club. And who else have we got? Obviously, then we've got Firmino. Now, obviously, looking at, Coutinho, Firmino, Mane, very, very good attacking options that we've got there, which looks like also a more solid defence as well, with a new goalkeeper, a new defender, maybe more defenders to come in, left backs, maybe anything there. Possibly another midfielder, but I'm fairly okay with our midfield if we didn't add to it anyway, with the creativity of Firmino, Coutinho. Obviously not forgetting Adam Lallana as well, who has been a very creative player, just needs to maybe add some goals in, or a bit, spotting passes a little bit better, having Mane in there as well. It can only lead to good things for us, I believe. But I really like Firmino. I think he adds something he just has that little bit. He doesn't have the greatest pace in the world, but he will not stop chasing something. If it's near him, he will chase it. He'll do his best. He'll always go after a lost cause, and I can only appreciate that, really. And then obviously it looks like we'll have, if we can keep him injury free, which is obviously the key thing, and if we can play anywhere near like he was playing at the latter end of last season, when he was scoring a good amount of goals, scoring good goals as well. Never forget, even though it was a loss, that final in the Europa League, and he scored the outside of the boot. Brilliant stuff. He is a very, very, very talented player. As a lot of people have said, he is our most talented, probably one of our best players in the England squad. Just played out of position, wasn't given the opportunity that he should have had. It happens. You can't, I love this guy as well. There's not really anybody in our team that I don't love. And it'll be exciting to see if that is anywhere near how we line up. Obviously, a few ones there that I didn't agree with, like the Witzel one and such. But there we go. That's the end of my transfer talk at the moment anyway. Obviously, now we are going to get into the meat of the transfer window, and there'll be a lot more deals to talk about as the weeks go on, as the days go on, and the hours go on as well. So what I'm going to try and do is as many of these types of videos as I can. If I can do anything like when I'm out and about, either at work or uploading from my phone, I will try and do any like big blockbuster ones that we've got when the United deals and stuff like Mythicarian are actually announced fully. There's probably going to be a couple more deals for Liverpool, I imagine, either outgoing or incoming. I will try and get them out as often as possible. I don't plan to be going away anywhere like I have done since Friday. I won't be going anywhere for quite a while, so I'll be able to remain a bit more consistent, hopefully with a bit more of the football news. If you've enjoyed the video, please drop a like on the video, share some comments and thoughts in the comments below, subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you later.